Chris Shandak, CYInterview, covering Las Vegas and the world. If you haven't already, please hit that like button below and please hit that subscribe button below to keep up with everything we have going on here at CYInterview in Las Vegas and beyond. We greatly appreciate it. Today we're going to revisit our CYInterview with Hollywood legend Diahann Carroll, and here it is.
You're on CYInterview.
This is Chris Shandak, and you're on CYInterview.com, where we bring you some of today's best and brightest newsmakers and entertainment figures. Joining me today, whether it was television shows, whether it was movies, whether it was singing, her overall performing, you know who Diahann Carroll is. She has done so many things. She has given so many opportunities to so many other people as well. With all that she's accomplished in Hollywood, her new book out, it's called The Legs Are Last to Go. Diahann Carroll, thanks so much for joining me this evening. It's really a privilege.
Thank you for having me on.
No problem, definitely. So I have to say, at the end of the book, you say you're in a very happy place right now. So can you describe for me what it's like for you right now in that happy place?
Well, I've done most of the things I really wanted to do in my career. I'm enjoying my family. That includes my grandchildren. I'm enjoying my friends more than I ever have in my life because I have the time. And travel, and I just think it's kind of the best of all worlds. So everything is better than I've ever had it before.
But why do you think it is?
I think I've probably been coming here to this place, trying to arrive here for a very long time. And when I saw it and recognized that my life was taking a turn for the better after the divorce, and after learning about the breast cancer, I was very grateful and for all of it. And I intend to enjoy it and enjoy it with the pride of what went before, so that I arrived here safely.
Thankfully. It's been almost 40 years since that Golden Globe win for Julia for Best Female Actress in a TV Series. What do you think Julia meant to women overall?
The first exposure to a middle-class black American woman raising her son alone, working as she raises her son, and the circumstances that are thrust upon them. Her husband was killed in the war, Vietnam. I think that all of those characteristics that Hal Kanter put in that lifestyle that he created for Julia, I think they're all terribly important, and I think they're still important. But Julia happened to be the first time a black American was starring in a TV series, and with a child and with a life. And many of the comments that were made at that time were about the fact that usually the American public was treated to a story about someone who was a maid or something in the servitude.
Yeah.
So I think it was very important to a lot of women.
You were away from your mother and your father for a year when your younger years, and they did it because they wanted to build a better financial life for your family, move up in the world, as they say. Mm-hmm. And you say in the book, and I quote this from the book, "And I still believe that year and the fear I subsequently had of being left behind caused me to stick with men who were absolutely wrong for me later in life. I also carried with me a feeling that I had done something wrong to deserve such treatment from people I loved so very much." Why do you think you did something wrong?
Well, when you're that age and your parents disappear, which is literally what happened, because when I awakened the next morning, my mother was gone, children feel that it's their fault. If the father leaves or the mother leaves, children usually relate to that as, I did something wrong. Why isn't Daddy here? Why isn't Mommy here? I don't know why the child feels, but I think that's still true. Of course, it sounds like a psychological definition, and it is. I mean, that's in my therapy. That's where I learned that most of us, when the family is sent in all directions, the child feels that they are the reason that happens.
Looking at your personal life, why do you think you never thought that you were in control? I mean, you were independent, you had your own career choices, you had savability. Why do you think that you never thought that you were an equal and you took some of the things that you probably shouldn't have?
I think it's very connected to what we discussed before, the being left at a very early age by my mother and father, and I didn't see them for a year. And when my mother arrived and she took me home, back to New York, my behavior then was very strange. I didn't really go into all of that in the book because it's ugly. And my mother had to help me through that period. So there is an enormous emotional reaction to the fact, and I'll say it again, that my mother and father chose to leave me. And I think, unfortunately, that kind of experience is very difficult for a child to dismiss.
Yeah.
Or really understand.
And then you look back, though, and you say to yourself at some points in the book, and you're saying, what was I thinking? Why didn't she leave? Why did she stick around?
I think what we've already established is that a child that is left by the parent has a feeling of being unloved, unwanted, probably very cuts the self-esteem down to the quick. And also, we were also discussing the fact that feeling of being not necessary and not loved enough, it can follow you through your life. And your behavior, very often, is a manifestation of those feelings about yourself. And you operate out of them when you don't even realize it, because they were so early in your life, so young, that you accepted the fact that you were probably the demise of this relationship between your mother and your father, which you were deprived of at a point, then you're never sure why you were deprived of it. So there is a scar, and it's horrendous, and I don't really know how different it is today. If a child is left, I think there are scars that are there in the behavior of a 20-year-old or 40-year-old. It's very hard. I'm watching my daughter dealing with almost the same problem.
Well, focusing on motherhood, there's a story in the book about Marilyn Monroe, and you were talking, and she wanted to get pregnant, as you said. And she says to you, you must be so happy. Do you think she yearned for more purpose in her life?
Yeah, I guess we all do. Well, she came to the club more than once, and I saw her on a few occasions. I was there the night she sang Happy Birthday to President Kennedy. And I think many people in show business recognize that this was about to become a train wreck. It was something that we were watching, and unfortunately it happened.
Another legend in the business, Frank Sinatra. There's an amazing story in the book about him with an interaction with your daughter, Suzanne. And what I would like to say to you at that time and at that period, what was it like being the woman around the Rat Pack, going from different TV specials and other events, being around so many men that were just admired by so many people? What was it like for you?
It was almost really like playing in the playground, because they were really little boys. And I was, seduced by all of that very young, very immature charm. And I was basically a little girl. It was fun. We were in our playground. We were doing what we loved to do, and we were all growing in our respective careers and pursuing something we thought was important and very enjoyable. And I loved being around them. There were times when it's definitely the time that one says, thank you for a lovely evening, and you leave. But funny and charming and caring was all really a wonderful time.
The ongoing party?
You could stay as long as you wish. You can go home. You can make your own bedtime.
Well, I want to ask, focusing back on the industry, because you were, at the beginning of the integrated period of Hollywood. How far has the industry come?
Not very far.
Yeah.
Not as far as we would like. I mean, there has been progress. And I think we see a few people who have made tremendous strides in this town. One of them is this young man, Denzel Washington. We have recognized the fact that in this town, Hollywood has recognized the fact that it's a situation that has to be dealt with now. It must be dealt with on a very serious level. The black community has money now, and the music business always also presents a situation that is moneyed, and it's so as though we've grown up and we know what to do with money. So I think we're going to see a lot of changes in the next 10 years.
Speaking of the younger stars of the day, who do you enjoy watching?
I think Denzel's work is exquisite. It's a joy to watch him. And he has mastered that camera. He knows how to use it. He gets a performance out of himself. Whatever it is he undertakes, it's always very thorough.
Yeah, I want to say there was one interesting point in the book, and you talk about what happened a few years ago with Don Imus and the Rutgers women, and you say, and obviously you say that, people should be careful of what they say, but this is the quote that stands out to me. You say, yet why not give people who have apologized profusely the benefit of the doubt? Do you feel in some senses we have become too politically correct and oversensitive? I mean, don't we all say things we regret in a sense?
I think you and I are basically saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
And it is, I'm pleased that we have that point of view and that we're relaxing a bit, because racial comments are going to be around forever. And I think whenever I stoop to do such a thing in company that I can rely upon to understand what that statement from me is all about, and I understand what their statements are all about. I think it was very smart when Tiger Wood mentioned that he didn't want anything changed at the country club. It's not necessary that it's to be changed, because when Italians came in for the first time, there were jokes made. When Jews came in for the first time, there were jokes made. That's what we do. We're just not that comfortable with each other after all these years that we don't know how to make fun of something of which we are not that familiar. We'll outgrow it with time.
Yeah.
But it happens to everybody. And Tiger, this enormously gifted human being and his special kind of dignity, he recognized that when they made jokes about the menu, for example, that perhaps it should be changed, and all the racial slurs. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
About the menu?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought he handled it beautifully, and
yeah.
I hope we all learn how to do that.
From someone who had to deal with racial comments from coworkers, the crowd, others, what did you learn from those experiences besides to be strong and not let it get to you?
Oh, well, I always repeat what my mother told me when I was growing up, that if someone has a problem with me because of the color of my skin, if they're ill, there's something wrong with that. There's so many different colors and shapes and sizes and of the face and the eyes and so many things all over the world, that if you have a problem adjusting to something with which you're not familiar, that they're very sad because they don't understand the world in which they live. They probably just understand the community. Good night, darling.
A lot of amazing women have had the courage to be judged and critiqued on the ABC show Dancing with the Stars. Would you ever consider doing something fun and different like that?
No.
Never? Okay.
Absolutely. I haven't seen Dancing with the Stars, maybe 5 minutes of it at some point. And I have many reactions to Dancing with the Stars. It's a great way to use the time on the network without paying somebody who could do, an honorable, credible job of work. I don't know what this thing is that's going on. Everything is a competition.
Well, it's not that everything's a competition, Diane. It's everything's a reality show.
Yes, but everybody's competing with each other.
There are shows on television that are not necessarily competition at a reality basis. Well,
this one that you're discussing.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying in general that don't you think television overall has become nothing but a reality show? And there's less dramas, for example.
And on the reality shows, do the people not have to come out the winner? You're the winner.
Sometimes.
I lose and you win.
Sometimes. Sometimes. So what do you still want to do then in this industry?
What would I like to do?
Yeah.
What I do. I'm an actress and I'm a singer.
Is there anything like in particular though that you'd like to do? Any kind of roles that you'd like to still
yes,
play?
I love those nice, meaty, fat roles. Yes, I love that. Claudine was the first opportunity really to get my teeth into something like that. And I'd love to do that kind of role again.
So finally, the book is called again, The Legs Are the Last to Go. Diahann Carroll, thank you so much for joining me today. And when it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
As someone who loved her work and tried to do the best work that she possibly could at every time, every turn, and tried to be the best mom she possibly could be, in addition to acknowledging the work.
Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
For CY Interview, I'm Chris Yandak.